guys, so guess what I'm finally getting around to watching? Yeah, it's only, 3 years after the fact, finally doing it. And apologies for sniffly, it's still early morning allergy hours, as we can tell. Yeah, I know. Why I'm trying to film this at 4 a.m., I don't freaking know, but here we are, so... yeah, but in case anybody's like, you look like you're... No, this is allergies, so... Yep, so if I'm all sniffly and coughing and stuff during it, that's why, because allergies have not shut off for the day yet, because I only just took my pill. So anyway, I have not yet watched the entirety of this. I've only watched part 1, and that was intentional because I want to review each part of it separately anyway, but also this is Blu-ray, and I don't technically have my own Blu-ray player. The irony, I bought one for the house. It's like the household Blu-ray player, and yet I get to use it less than anybody, so I don't know, but God only knows when there'll be another day when there's like a couple hours cordoned off that I can watch part 2, but for now, I have part 1 down anyway, so anyway. But first off, I'm just gonna, in case anybody has not seen the packaging, it's pretty cool. Open it up. Again, I know, how many years after the fact, everyone has seen this, but I don't care, I'm showing it anyway. It's pretty cool. Open it up, we get Polly Pooh's handwriting. We have these lovely photos here. And then each page has another disc in it with a shit ton of photos, and this is really cool. Okay, so anyway, so disc 1 basically is just them in, what is it, Twickenham Studios, is that correct? Somehow that doesn't sound right to my brain, but it probably is. But anyway, so they're in there, they're rehearsing, they're practicing, they're trying to figure out what all they're even going to do for this TV special that they're trying to create, where they're gonna perform it, what they're gonna perform in it. Meanwhile, writing new songs for it in about approximately 2 weeks' time. Which seems like a really tall order, you know, especially by today's standards. I'm like, wow. But typically, Paul is the only one holding it all together. The other 3, it pretty much is like Paul and 3 junkies. Let's just call them as we see them. So... Paul and George also look like they're the only ones bathing through this whole thing. I'm also gonna throw that out there. This may be the only time in history, where I have ever said the words, could you please show less of Ringo? Because his hair, it's like, it looks like it has not been washed in a month. I am not exaggerating. Like, it's so oily, greasy, it's like all chunky, separating it. I'm like, zoom back, and like, each day that it progresses, he has this big old goober on his chin that looks like it's closer and closer to just go on camera. I'm like, let's show less of Ringo for a change, okay? Just, I cannot believe I'm saying these words, but just, He also does not have much to say throughout the entire thing. By the way, I think he's mentally and emotionally checked out on this whole thing by the point of filming this, because he's already, like, mentally off into Magic Christian land. He is pretty much not there. Lights are on, no one's home, and that's the extent of it. So, basically, we're here to see the other 3. And that makes sense, because those are the 3 that write songs. Those are the 3 that, like, really do everything. So that makes sense. But just watching these songs go from nothingness, and how quickly just they whip up into something sounding approximately like part of a song, and then suddenly just, here is the song! Whoa! As somebody who does not possess that skill set, that is really impressive to me, just watching how naturally and how easily that comes to them. 'Cause I am not a songwriter. I play covers of other people's songs. I don't understand the whole songwriting thing. My brain doesn't work that way. But I have mad respect for people that do. So, Anyway, so that's a thing, but just watching the dynamic, I have to admit, this is not what I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be more like Let It Be, which I have seen all of twice in my life, and that's already once too many, because it's so bitter and nasty. I have no use for Let It Be, just stick it in the bin, I don't need it. But regardless, this, it's part of why I went so long without watching it, was just the assumption it was going to be more of that. And I was like, I don't really want to sit through that. 8 hours, that sounds like a lot. But no, it's not. It's not. Now, granted, part one, a lot of it is just them chattering amongst themselves, and especially, like, the earlier part of it, it's hard to hear what they're saying at times, and I do appreciate that they have subtitles on the bottom of the screen, because initially, I'm sitting here like, they're speaking English, why do we have subtitles on the screen when they're speaking? But then it quickly became known. Why? Because, like, half the time we can't really hear what they're saying, that's why. It's not because of the accents, it's because we can't freaking hear what's going on. So, appreciate that they did that. Very much appreciated. But more surprisingly to me, for as much as we got in the anthology, there's a lot of unreleased tracks, or at least pieces of tracks. I don't know if they ever got fully fleshed out. I don't think they did. That were in this, where I'm just like, whoa, I didn't know they had that much left in the vaults that was just unused. Had no idea. I figured maybe it'd be like a song here or there, and that'd be about it in terms of unreleased stuff, but no. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there going, there have been bootlegs where these have been available for decades, and yeah, I don't care. I don't have them, therefore they're new to me. They're new to me. And I bet they're new to a lot of other people too, so those of us who aren't insane with our collecting, yeah, just a lot of us, it's new too. So, kind of mind-blowing. Also seeing several tracks credited in the end credits of it, credited to all 4 Beatles. Now, if I'm not mistaken, during the Beatle years, there was like a track that had 3 of them credited on it, and there was like 1 and 1 time only that happened. I don't think there was really any that ever got the credit of all 4. So just seeing that in the credits, I was like, whoa! I didn't know that was a thing. Which makes it a shame that none of those got fleshed out into full songs or anything, but at least we kind of get to hear them here. But yeah, so just seeing the progression day to day, some of it is a bit monotonous, but a lot of it is more interesting than you think it would be. Because the way people were talking about it when it first came out, I was hearing 2 polarities. There's the people who are saying, this is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life, versus, I don't know, I thought it was boring. And, like, no in between. So I was, like, skeptical and hesitant, because I was like, well, I know the people who are on this one side of the line are generally the ones that will say literally anything that the Beatles release. It's amazing. Just, I love all of it. Yeah, no. Usually I don't agree with those people. I'm more critical than that. Which led me to believe more of the people who are like, I found it boring. And I was like, oh, 8 hours of boringness. Oh, cool. I would want to watch that. Why? So again, reasons why it took me 3 years to get around to this, on top of my original reason that we won't go into here. If you know, you know. But, like, no, I'm actually surprised that it's a lot more interesting than I assumed it would be. Because I have to admit, I went in with my expectations in the bucket. In the total bucket. They were pretty much on the floor. I was not expecting much anything at all. So I figured if I go in with super low expectations, it can only go up from there, right? I hope. I sure hope. So, thankfully, that was in fact the case. They were better and exceeded than my bar being on the floor of expectations. So, But yeah, just kind of interesting seeing different things with the dynamic, seeing that they're not completely big. There's a few moments where it gets a bit tense. And yeah, part one ends with George frickin' leaving the band, and the diary entry where he just so casually is just like, woke up, went to Twickenham, blah 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 blah, recorded, left the Beatles, came home, had lunch, it was something like that. I was like, George, damn, you brutal. But I showed that screenshot to my sister too, and even she's like, damn! I was like, I know, well, that's George for you. But it wasn't like the nasty big blow-up that we were led to believe all these years. And it didn't happen quite the way Let It Be would make you think it happened, because they make it seem like the famous quote between George and Paul, we all know the one, made it seem like that was like the last straw for George and then he quit. Which, yeah, that's a much different narrative and a much different vibe than seeing this and just like real time, just how it transpired and just calmly, rationally, and off he goes. And all of them are just kind of standing there, almost seeming like they don't really believe him because it's so calm. So there is that, but the other three are seemingly unbothered. It almost seems like the three of them are having, like, a bit of a party or something, like, in his absence, which is weird, but at the same time, again, it paints a very different picture, since just, like, again, I don't think they truly believed he really quit. They're like, he'll be back. He'll be back. Probably thinking, Ringo already did this to us once, he came back, he'll be back. And obviously he was, but, like... just like, huh, okay. On the other hand, I also see where the Simpsons are coming from in their parody of Get Back with, like, the Beatles talk about water for 8 hours. It's like, okay, you're just seeing part one of this now, versus that I'm like, yeah, okay, they're kind of not wrong, but, like... I think I am the most surprised. What was included was, they had that very, very early version of Get Back. The one that a lot of people take out of context, the No Pakistanis one. Yeah, that early take of Get Back. Even though it's, again, the context. Context is key. It's not them being racist. They're literally reading the news events of the day. And that is like the headline of the paper is about that. And they just kind of are coming up with lyrics off the cuff about that story. So, with that context, I do feel a little better about that, because I have heard that bootleg before, and I remember the first time I heard it, not knowing the context, oh yeah, I was suitably horrified. It was just like, oh my god. On the other hand, the words "get back to where you once belong" hit very different when you're thinking of it in that kind of context. It's like, oh my god. But again, seeing the context, I'm like, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you for giving us that, because initially I was thinking, oh my god, what are they doing, including this? No, what are you doing? But, like, it was one of those things where, as a Beatle fan, party wants to protect them and controversial stuff. Sometimes you do just kind of want to be like, shh, don't talk about this. Shh, what are you doing? Don't bring attention to that. But then seeing the context they brought to it, I was like, I take it back. Thank you for including that. Thank you, because now we can refute that and give the exact context and just show that clip whenever people take that song, that bootleg, out of context, because they do, right up there like they do with canceling John Lennon constantly. Yeah, that song comes up almost just as often. So, again, it's nice having something to be able to set the record straight with, for a change. So, but yeah, 2.5 hours for part one. Sounded like a lot for being all crammed in on just a few days versus like 8 hours of anthology being the entire span of the career. But no, it actually goes a lot faster than you assume it would, and it's actually pretty fun to watch, I thought anyway. But that's just me. I also appreciate with them showing which date on the calendar they're on, they did include January 7th. Hey, there actually was, in fact, technically, something in Beatle history that happened on my birthday. Thank you for including that. So, because most of the years they did nothing because Paul was with his brother, but that year they did. But, nice to see. So I was like, whatever happens on this day in the documentary, I lay claim to that as mine for landing on my birthday. And then it's the start of the recording of Maxwell's Silver Hammer, and I'm like, I'll take it! So, oh, man. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected I would. I'm gonna be completely honest with that. So that does make me a lot more excited to see the other two parts of it now. Again, I don't know when I'm going to realistically have the opportunity to watch the next part of it, but as soon as there's a day where I can manage to get a hold of the TV downstairs and the Blu-ray player for a couple hours, I will get to the next part of it. It might be a while, so just be patient with me, don't poke me with a stick. It's not being forgotten. I'm literally leaving this on my desk here so that I don't forget about it. It is literally in my way where I put it, so it is impossible for me to forget about it. It just, again, it's not that often that I have the opportunity to be able to watch something that long on the TV downstairs. Between my dad just laying claim to it 24/7 most days, and the days when he doesn't, usually my mom has some kind of sports on that she's watching. So between the two, there is usually not that kind of a chunk of time, ever. So this was a rarity to be able to, so it could be a while, but we'll get there. So, anyway, those were my thoughts on part 1. Again, pleasantly surprised, exceeded my expectations. I see why so many of you have been like, Jen, it's been 3 years, why have you not watched it yet? After seeing part 1, and now I see why y'all were poking me with a stick so hard, because yeah, it is pretty good, and seeing the footage cleaned up that much, especially like right at the beginning of part 1 when they have like the little mini documentary almost of like the Beatle years up to that point. So many clips that had been in the anthology, seeing them cleaned up to this degree to be included in this, I was like, they could do the thing if they wanted to. They could clean up the anthology if they wanted to. Next year is 30 years for the anthology. I'm just saying. I am not promising that we're getting it. It's wishful thinking on my part, but I believe in putting things out there to the universe over and over, and sometimes they manifest for it, so come on, give us the 30th anniversary edition of the anthology. Clean it up for us, please. Anyway, but yes. I did enjoy part 1. I am looking forward to whenever I can get around to part 2. So, anyway, those are my thoughts. So, you guys know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Get your name on the end card for a month from the time of donating. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.